Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bobby Likes It Spooky. Um, Today we are talking about Rob Zombie's Halloween, and I have to chuckle because this movie is super divisive. Um, and I had to invite a one of my good friends to talk about this movie because we talk about it often, and I felt like this would be perfect for him to talk about. So Tamon Kane, bring him up on stage here. How's it going, friend?
Hey,
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about this movie with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and you got Miss Danielle Harris, Andy Brackett in the
E.
back
Annie
there.
Brackett.
So,
E. Annie Brackett.
hmm I mean, she ain't the OG though. She ain't the OG, but she did a good job. She did a good
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
Yes. But yes, I had to have you on because I know you're a fan of this movie, and you quote lines. You do a great any impersonation as far as screams. I heard it. I hear it often. So
Yeah, that is true, well, I'm hoarse. I've been hoarse and have had like a cold from my allergies, rather. So
yeah,
I'm a little hoarse. So I may be able to get you something new tonight. Who knows?
we'll see. I'm not gonna make you do it because I know you say you're
Lord,
hard.
it may be even better tonight. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay. So yes, before we get started talking about this movie, would you like to plug your socials where everybody can find you?
Oh, sure. I love a good plug.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tamon Kane. As Bobby said, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, even
Yes.
at Tamon Kane. Please check out my Instagram for Associate Sagas. My book is ready for you now. So if you go to jointhefraternity.com and you can go ahead and sign up, pay for your book, and you'll get some stuff from me soon. And you can see me also with Bobby to my left on our show that premieres
Tomorrow.
tomorrow called Scream Kings, and our first episode is called The Multiverse of Michael. So not only
I'll fit in.
how fitting, we just here. We
You're
we
just
we, we just we in the zone, bro. We in the zone.
yes.
And that
No,
intro for the episode is dope.
yeah.
It's dope. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Wait, you talking about
Yeah,
this one?
yeah,
Oh, thank
yeah,
you.
yours. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
Shout out to Beer Bones YouTube. He did that for me. He was supposed to be a guest on here, but he had to do some important things. But he's a great creator. So shout out to Beer Bones, Pumpkin Boy.
Thank you,
Um,
Bear Bones Pumpkin Boy.
but yes, I'm excited for your book. I'm definitely going to cop that because I want some goodies and I can't wait to read it because the tea that you was giving me about it, it's just it's our thing. It's our thing. Uh we like our mythological creatures, but also in the realm of I guess black queerness,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I'm here for it, and we need more of it. So I'm happy that you did this, and I can't wait to get it.
So much fun. Like, who could imagine you have queer characters and the whole thing's about a fraternity? Who would ever imagine you would have queer
Oh,
characters?
right, that's so Tamon. So I mean, I love it.
Yes, sir.
All right, so Rob Zombie's Halloween. Do you remember the first time you seen this movie? Did you go to like theaters to see it? Did you watch
For
it at
sure.
home? Yeah. So tell us the first time you viewed this movie and your thoughts on it.
There's nothing that would keep me from movie theaters to see a Michael Myers film. So I definitely saw this one in the theater. Unfortunately, I
Hmm
saw the second one too. But my first time seeing this movie, what was this, 2007?
Seven.
Oh, definitely. I was in Nashville. I was still in college too. So it was a Halloween film and it was ready to come out. And I think it was with my two best friends, Marcus and Kendall.
Hmm
Um, and we went to the movies and it was just dirty and grimy. And I mean, I think I laughed the most in the beginning because I guess it was supposed to be serious, but it was
Yeah.
funny. The stepfather and the sister were hilarious.
Yeah.
The first thing I remember about this movie was laughing. But I was scared of the little boy too, like the guy who
Little
played
Michael.
little
Michelle Mabel.
Michelle Mabel, terrifying too, even as a little kid.
Oh yeah.
So I remember having those feelings like he is dangerous. I was like, could that have been any one of us? I don't know, but uh, yeah, I just those are things that stood out for the first time when I saw it. And like I
Yeah.
have my friends have always, I always say I travel in the same groups of friends, and I always connect with horror lovers. So it was like me and my two best friends and probably like four other people went to go see the movie together.
Yes.
Hmm.
I love that. For me, I seen this obviously when it came out in theaters. This was my first Halloween movie I seen in theaters. I never seen Halloween 6, H2O, or Resurrection in theaters. Never got the chance to. And this was my first one, and I seen this with my mom, my little sister, and like two of my mom friends, and we made it like a little thing because we were excited about it. My mom is a horror fan too. She act like she's not, but she is.
My-
Um, she was the main one wanting to see this movie, and hello, I'm the horror movie buff, but like she was like pushing to see this movie, and that was just a fun experience for me, just because I was just graduating high school, and we went into like it was just a good year. '07 was a good year for me, graduating high school, and then anticipating the new Halloween Michael Myers movie coming later that summer, and just seeing it with my family. I had a good time. Yes, there were things I was given like the side eye and tilting my head, like, okay, this is not what I'm used to.
like
But
what?
again, Michael Myers, you try to get me get deep into it, Taba, and I really want to.
Okay.
But Michael
Well,
Myers,
I can resist.
you'll see more. You'll see me get deep into it when you watch Screen Kings tomorrow at 8 p.m.
That is
Because I'll get deep into my thoughts on Halloween. So yeah, but I'm gonna repeat myself just a little bit, but I just feel like that wasn't the shape for me. They humanized Michael Myers in this one here, and I get it. Like that's probably more scarier to others. Um, but I at that time I didn't even really look at it as all right, separate the two. This is a Rob Zombie film. I just went into it thinking this is a Halloween remake. I'm in for the ride. And when I left the theater, I did enjoy it because mostly because of the second half when we get adult Michael Myers and we pretty much get a retelling of the OG Halloween. And I think I enjoyed that part the most at the time because for one, I was a Danielle Harris fan, so I definitely was in there. Like I was like, Danielle Harris is in it, and she playing my favorite character in any bracket. Let's go!
yeah.
So I was super hyped about that. And then I from the trailer, it looked a little bit more brutal. You know what I mean? Compared to the other Michael, it wasn't as brutal because he was more kind of like a silent killer. Where in this one, he's just like this big, tall, husky man bursting through doors and just didn't give a fuck. So I'm just like, okay, this is gonna be fun. Um, so yeah, I enjoyed it like leaving there, and but I just didn't like the first half because I didn't care for the white trash feel of Michael's family because it's like, all right, here we go again. It got House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects. Rob Zombie always tends to do these with his characters. Why do this with Michael? It would have been a little bit more scary to me if it was like a family that kind of was like uh not trailer trash and kind of like your modern family or whatever, and he just snaps or whatever. Go a little bit more into detail, but yeah. Laundry Day so husky homie was huge. He was huge. um so yeah, but after a while I
He
got
was.
over it.
He was.
Yeah, he was huge. Tyler Maine did that. I
Oh,
enjoyed
I
seeing
loved
that.
him in that.
Yeah.
I thought that was one of the things I liked the most about it was the origin story. Like you
Oh,
said, well, I thought that was one of the most interesting parts of the film actually, and it humanized him, but it dehumanized him all in the same way. It
mm-hmm.
gave layers that I think that the how the original one had this mystery about him. It took away that mystery and made we understood his logic and why he was the way he was and why he snapped. He was definitely a product of his environment. Plus, he had something else going on with him too, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool that they gave him that other layer in early on. And so like if they would have had two more, oh, I forgot they did have one more. But if they had like a trilogy, I think it would have probably balanced the whole thing out.
Yeah.
I think for one movie, I can see how that's off-putting though, because it was a lot of time
Oh
spent.
yeah, yeah. Definitely. And I know Rob was, he I seen the making of this, and the making of this is like 2.5 hours long. And it was fun because I used to be wanted to be a filmmaker, and just to see people how they handle the camera, how they start scouting, looking for locations, and just doing all of that just seems like it was a blast. And watching Rob go through this, and even after, and he was like, that movie was a pain in the ass to make, and I can understand. It's a
Mhm.
lot of pressure. You're remaking a classic, you know what I mean? And you're also trying to do your own thing, but at the same time, you also have a studio telling you, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. You have to kind of keep it like contained in some way to keep it similar to what the OG was. So
Just
Rob kind of like the first half was his, but then when we get to the second half, it was again a retelling of what we already seen in the first one, just with a Rob Zombie twist.
I sort of think that the second half was that the second act when we got to meet Lori and Linda and our favorite Annie.
Hmm.
I thought that was pretty still Rob Zombie and not in the I feel like tone because when it sped up after that moment, it was just brutal.
Yeah,
It was just brutal after that,
yeah,
and so the original one was not about that.
yeah,
The original was about it's like Hitchcockian and it's a stalker POV building that terror throughout the movie and then execution at the end.
yeah.
But this one was like, oh no, we fucking it up from the very beginning. So
Right.
Zombie likes to do. I wish they were still tight on him
Yeah,
and moving forward. But yeah, I agree with that.
yeah. And I think that's why I enjoyed the last act a little bit more, just because it was brutal, and
Ugh.
I enjoyed the twists and stuff that they did in there. As far as, yes, it was kind of like a direct copy from the first one, but it wasn't, because again, Annie survived in this one where she originally died in the OG.
Yay. Yeah.
Lori had a chase scene, but she went, to the Myers house and went inside, the fucking attic. And it was just that whole last final ending, third act, where it changed everything. And I loved it. And then finally, when, I mean, we'll get there, but that third act when she's literally running from him, and then when she falls out from the ceiling and she's like bloody and cut up, and she's just like dazed, and you just see Michael standing right there, and he charges at her, and then they just both fall off the balcony.
It just
Like,
don't stop, bro. It never
right, it
stops.
just
Like, he was literally just sitting in the police car
Mhm.
and she got yanked out, bro. Like it
Got
didn't
yanked.
stop. It didn't stop.
Right.
And that's why I loved it. Like the intensity, it was just banging throughout the whole thing to me.
Yeah, it was super intense, and I low key wish that second half was a little bit longer, because it's like you said, it kind of, I feel like, sped up once it got there. Like it was
Mhm.
just like bam, 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 bam. And I wish it was just a little bit longer. Um, but yes, first seeing this was great. I remember buying the DVD, and I told the story to a couple people. So the theatrical version is a lot different. Well, I'm not gonna say a lot different, but there's some changes in how Michael Myers escaped from the asylum in the director's cut compared to the theatrical version. In the
Mhm.
theatrical version, Michael gets out by breaking through chains and killing the police. In the director's cut, which I don't prefer, um, it's a situation where he's locked up, and you get the two guards, and they are bothering his girl, and then they end up taking the girl into Michael's cell,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
and then they try, well, they they sexually harass her, and that's how Michael gets out. And I feel like that was uncalled for, in my opinion. Like, Rob Zombie, why do you always have to add these type of things to your movies? Like, I know you want to add some uncomfortableness in your films, but there's other ways where you could have done that. I
Yes.
seen like that, it didn't evolve the plot, it didn't move the plot forward. I think it was actually kind of stupid just to do that. I preferred the theatrical cut when he got out, broke through the chains, and killed the police, rather than the other one when it had nothing to do with
With
anything.
nothing. And
Yeah.
you're right. That was whoever who made that choice for the theatrical release. That was a great editing because visually, like if it was something else, yeah, the scene is cool, but it has nothing to do with anything. Why would you even go into his cell?
Hmm.
Why are y'all harassing this? Was she an orderly
Yeah,
or a nurse?
I think she was a patient. She was like, yeah,
She was a patient. She was because
yeah,
yeah, I want because they wouldn't believe her if she said that,
yeah,
and they did do bad things to her, but
yeah.
Mikey didn't like it.
Mikey didn't like it. Um. So yeah, I didn't like that getting out of that, but remind. So when he was a kid, all right. So I did enjoy aspects of him. Uh, him killing the kid, the bully in the beginning of the
Mhm.
movie, and then I actually enjoyed Sherry Moon Zombie in this film because for one, we didn't get too much of her, and then two, she wasn't playing a psychopath. You could actually see that she had a little bit of range because she was playing a serious character rather than playing a killer or somebody that's trying to attack somebody or whatever. She was just trying to be a mom, and she's a stripper, yes, but she have to do what she got to do to put food on the table and stuff. And she got this shitty boyfriend Ronnie who
Oh
talks
God,
to her whatever. His
he's
mouth,
bad.
his mouth, and I feel bad for laughing at some of the stuff that he says, but it's so
Oh, he's
funny to me.
hilarious. He's hilarious. They casted him perfectly. He is like he's, he's the bitch. I don't think I'm not keeping a laundry list of all the shit you've been saying.
And then he said something about skull fucking this shit out. I'm just like, yo, his
Yeah,
mouth is atrocious. What is happening? And the way he talks about Judith is just a fun
inappropriate.
so inappropriate. He is disgusting. His kill, I
Ooh,
I loved it. Uh Taped up because he was drunk and passed out, and Michael was tired of his bullshit, and he took the tape and taped him up, and then took that knife and just slit his throat. And one thing I like, all right, so Rob Zombie, even though I do have problems with him, I love his violence in his movies because
yes,
it does make you uncomfortable in a way. Like he's like the camera stays on the victim for a very long time when they're being killed or whatever, and it make you feel it a lot more. So when you see the throat being cut, you just see all the blood gushing, you just see him suffering and
yeah.
can't breathe because he got the tape on him, and it just stayed with him for a long time. I was just like, oh, like it didn't cut away, it didn't move on to the next thing, it wasn't off screen. They literally kept the camera there and just like let us focus on him bleeding out and dying, which was insane.
Then it's like the writing too. Like you thought to make him tie him, he didn't have to tie him up. He could just slit his throat anywhere.
Yeah.
He tied him up so he can already be in fear and see. To me, I guess he was going to see if he was going to have any regret or have anything to say. No, he was still being an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, yeah, you died. Judith was painful though to me to watch all those stabs. That was painful.
It was, but I'm not gonna say she deserved it, but like,
I mean, they were all pretty shitty. So I'm just like,
yeah, they
sure.
were all shitty. I mean, the boyfriend got it too. He got the all right. So Michael was really mad at him. And I'm like, what the fuck he do to you? I mean, he was
That's
an asshole to him, but damn, he
yeah,
took
but
that
some of these
metal
boyfriends
bat
are
and was just
he fucked
bashing
him
his
up.
head in. Yeah. And then he got to Judith, and she's listening to "Don't Fear the Reaper" on the thing. You have to pay homage to the first one. I love that song. And then he chasing her down the hallway and just cutting her up, stabbing her up, and eventually she dies and bleeds out in the hallway. And then he sees the baby, takes the baby outside, and then Deborah, I think her name is Deborah Myers, come up and you know.
Mikey.
And what I liked too, it was in the trailer, is when Michael Myers was in the cop car in the back seat, and like he turns to look at the camera, and it kind of like it does like that freeze frame for a moment. I did like that moment as well.
Oh yeah, that was dope. And
Yeah.
I loved how much she loved her son, right?
Hmm.
It's like I know we're living with Trash Mikey, but if I could take you and Boo and get out of here,
Hmm.
then we will be all happy. Because that's
Right.
I feel like she was working for them and not the sister and the
Oh
boyfriend.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, granted, like that's her child, and I mean, if Michael would have just killed her boyfriend, I think she would have been a little bit okay with it, just because he was an asshole anyway. But
Yeah,
like, you killed the daughter, your sister as well, so yeah.
that's too
Um,
far. Your stepfather, sure. The boyfriend, absolutely. But
yeah,
your sister, we could have worked on her.
yeah, definitely.
My favorite part of her in the first act is when she goes to the school and she
Oh, I
gets
don't
to
really know what you about to say.
that is my favorite part of her. I was like, yes, go off on him. She said,
Yes.
the principal said, because I never get the line completely right. You have it right. It's like the principal says, I hate to keep calling you down here, Miss Myers. And then she
Oh,
said,
really? You sure seem like you fucking do.
yeah. I was like, that's the shit in my head. I would be thinking as a parent, but I don't think I would do
Right.
that. But like, she is pissed off.
She is. She's like, I can't keep coming down here for this shit.
She's going off. But I remember
Yes.
parents be like that when I was in school.
Yeah.
So I knew that's a thing. So it was so funny to see her act like that.
Yeah, I loved it. I said,
Yeah.
and this is what I like. I want to see her do more roles like that because, again, it shows that she has a little bit of range. And even though a lot of people give her a lot of shit because she's always in Rob Zombie's movies, like you always got to put his wife as like a main character. But I mean, I feel like that's cool as long as you give her a role that's like something that she can handle, something that she can do, and not something that's just like, oh damn, like I can't. I mean, she's older, but I can't imagine seeing her play like a Lori or something like
I
that.
was gonna
Just
say
because she's older.
he didn't cast her as Lori, guys.
Right. Yeah, she's the
I don't
mama.
remember that.
Yeah, and she died. Now, when we get to Halloween 2, his version of Halloween 2, she had no reason to be in that movie. Like she died in this one.
Escort.
There was no reason. But yeah, Michael goes to the institution. We meet Dr. Loomis and his weird wig, and then Michael, I guess it was the 70s it was supposed to be the 70s, so I don't know. Yeah, sure.
He didn't have that problem with his wig.
He sure didn't. Donald Pleasance didn't have a wig.
He didn't. He was bald.
Right. Michael get multiple visits from his mama. He's calling himself ugly. He's creating masks, and eventually his mom commits suicide. And that was sad because she just couldn't bear dealing with Michael and then the loss of her daughter and stuff, and it was just a lot. And even though she has a baby, I guess that wasn't enough to keep her alive. And just hearing those screams, the baby screaming, was just sad after you hear that gunshot. It was a sad moment. And then we get grown up Mikey, and he's this big, tall, huge man.
Wrestler.
And wrestler, yeah. And he's in there. He's still getting visits by Dr. Loomis, and Dr. Loomis is like, I can't help you out anymore. I have to leave you. I'm over this shit. And Michael eventually breaks out by killing the police. I'm gonna say that version. And then he kills a mechanic, gets Joe. What's his name? Joe. What is it? But I can't. I was about to say Joe Bob. Not Joe Bob.
Joe Biden.
Not Joe Biden.
Could you imagine?
Joe Grizzly. That's played by Ken Foray. He kills some in the bathroom, which was insane because they're like fighting in there, and they both huge.
They're like tit for tat.
Yeah, and Michael just slamming him against the damn thing and just the stall, and then eventually he stabs him and kills him, takes a jumpsuit, and then we get into our other half of the movie where we're introduced to Scout Tyler Compton, who plays Laurie Strode, and Dee Wallace, who plays the mama, and the father. And at first I was like, all right, this is a different type of Laurie. She's still pretty much innocent and like a book nerd, but she's a little bit more I guess outgoing and kind of she has more of a sense of humor compared to Miss Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed it. But what you think about Laurie Strode and this one so far?
I had to warm up to her, right?
Okay.
Because I love Jamie Lee Curtis. So I had to warm up to her and to see, because she had it hard too. Like stepping into that exact role of Laurie Strode is no easy task, my friend. And you're gonna be criticized. But luckily she nailed it. I really enjoyed her. She was vulnerable. She seemed like she was the smart one in the group versus like the shy, timid, I don't want to date boys, but she's more like, sure, we can do something. Versus Laurie Strode, who's like, guys, he doesn't like me. Oh, guys, don't do that. She's more evolved. I don't know if it's fair to say in womanhood due to the years and progression of the feminist movement and all of that stuff. So I think she's more like opened up and more free with who she is, but she's still like that bookworm, like you said. So I think she did great. And she looked good. She felt appropriately casted. And her performance throughout the entire film, she had like levels throughout the whole thing. She wasn't one note of Laurie Strode, even when it was intense.
Mm-hmm.
Screaming the whole time. It was still levels to it.
Listen, I loved her scream. I mean,
Yeah.
when people create scream queen list or whatever, I try my best to include Scout, and you know this because listen, she might not have done a bunch of horror movies compared to some of our favorites, but I think she's done quite enough. And I feel like in this Halloween movie, she kind of solidified herself to being a screen queen because she has the vocals for it. Like, listen, she's been screaming like hell in this fucking movie. I don't understand how the hell she had her voice by the time she got done filming this because
right. And like I agree with you. You know, I give you a hard time with Scout because of how many movies she's been in.
Wow.
Because I can't remember how many horror movies she's been in. I know she's been in this one.
She's done a lot of low budget stuff, so that's probably why. Like, she's done a lot of low budget movies, and some of them are actually pretty good. And she done some like teen stuff too. But I think we all know her from this is because mainstream movie and it's a Halloween movie. So yeah, this is kind of what put her on the map. But if you look at her catalog of movies she done, she did quite a few horror films.
Can she be a screen princess instead?
Yeah, you know what? We'll take that. We'll put her as a screen princess.
Okay, so I'll take that. Her performance in this one alone does put her on the list and in the conversation for sure. She performed her ass off and survived. So
yes. And then like that end, like when jumping ahead again, but when she shoots Michael and she just does that, just scream with all the blood on her, so
everything,
good, so good. Everything. Yes, and it's a comparison to the baby when the baby was screaming and crying and stuff like that, and that's why when you watch the end of the film, you see her screaming and crying, and then it cuts to the baby kind of doing the same thing because I guess they're trying to.
That's what she do.
Yeah, that's what she does.
You know what? This does sort of solidify. Let me rethink that. Maybe this does solidify her as a screen queen. Like this one film, it's no Prom Night, Terror Train, The Fog, or Halloween. But, it'll work.
Yeah, I mean,
scream her head off.
Yeah, I mean, compared to most people, she's done a great job. So I just think she needs to do a little bit more movies, and I wish she had that chance to do more mainstream movies where she can show that. So yeah, but I love
the story.
You said what?
Put her on American Horror Story. Actually, the both of them.
I would love if they were both on American Horror Story. I'm surprised they haven't been on there at all. Like,
are they bitches? Their podcasts don't make them seem that way, but are they bitches because?
Listen, the podcast don't make them seem that way, but I don't know. Well, Scout, she says she's a Pisces, and she says that she's a Pisces. I found that out through the podcast. I was like, oh, Danielle's a Gemini. So, okay. Yeah. I have thoughts about them. No shade to the Geminis, but yeah.
Okay, that's definitely a scream queen because she's a Pisces. You should have landed.
Oh, because she's the same sign. Okay.
Welcome, girl. Come on.
But no, I would love to see them both on there. I think they would fucking kill it if they were on American Horror Story. Like, they would get so much props. And for Danielle, like, I know she's a little older. I think she's about like 45 now. But like, she needs to be in more. I know she's done a shitload of horror films. But I would like to see her in more. Like, I would like to see her on more mainstream things. I want them to give her that chance because she killed it. She also has a good screen.
And always had one.
Yeah. But yeah, we get to meet them, and so this friend group, I do prefer the original friend group over this one, only because I felt like this one was more rushed compared to the OG one. The OG, we got to spend a little bit more time with the girls. Where this one, again, like I was saying, Rob Zombie was just trying to get this shit over with. It seemed like he was just like, you already got your group of girls, let's move on. When they were walking down that street, we got like a minimum conversation versus the conversation that we got in the OG one. It was a little bit longer. We got to see what was happening to Annie in school, and like we got inside their lives a little bit and got to know them more. And this one is just like, all right, I love y'all, but like I want to see more. Like I like the actress who played Linda, and they cut so many scenes that she did. There's a version, and I think I mentioned this to you before, but right when they were leaving the school, Lori and Linda, Linda was like upset, you know, because something happened to her, like in cheerleading situation, I forgot. And these two girls were laughing, but they weren't laughing at her. So she looks at them and say, "What the fuck are you two bitches laughing at? You think it's funny?" And she takes the girl cup that she was having, takes the drink, and pours it over the girl's head. And Lori's like, "Calm down, stop, Linda, stop it." So again, like I wish they kept that in because it shows a little bit more. Like, all right, Linda is a hothead. You know what I mean? Like she don't, you know, she will spaz out on somebody just like that if somebody fucks with her. So it's just, I think too, on the original Halloween, you had Deborah Hill, who was the producer, and she wrote the lines for the girls, so she gave it that natural feel. Where in this one here, Rob Zombie is just like, we're going to have the same scene, but we ain't sticking too long with them. You know what I mean? But so it was missing that, I guess, feminine touch for the character.
Okay, for sure. Okay, yeah, for sure. The man writing for women, you can tell that.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I think that I like the Rob Zombie trio more.
What? Okay.
It's Annie. It's Annie. I love Annie. Was my favorite the original one. But
okay.
It's Annie Brackett in this one. It's probably because it's Danielle Harris and not how she's written. So I could be completely, you know, being blinded by Annie Brackett. Probably by Danielle Harris. However, I thought they were fun, and I thought we got the same glimpse of who they were as characters and who they were as people. Just in a shorter time frame. I think he quickly just showed them, even how they were dressed. Because was Annie a cheerleader too?
It looked like she was.
And Linda had different uniforms, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's cool. Now you know who they are. You know, now you know they're two girls and the cheerleaders. This is the sheriff's daughter. Okay, we know that she's that girl on campus. We get it for sure. I do agree with you. That scene that was cut out for Linda should have stayed in. Should have stayed in the film so we can get a little bit more connection with her. What I liked about the original trilogy, before it was sort of like Jamie Lee Curtis driven, I think anyone could have been the lead, and based off of, you know, who he decided to go after first or whatever. So I thought that was cool. Versus the other one, it was very clear that the lead is Laurie Strode, and out of these groups, she's the innocent one. So of course she's the lead. But in the other one, I thought it was cool. Because they could have flipped the coin to me.
Yeah. Okay. I can respect that. I will say I did have fun with these girls, though. I did have fun. Their dialogue was funny to me.
Yes.
But again, in true Rob Zombie fashion, you know, they got potty mouths and, you know, they're saying the CUNT word and saying a bunch of it was just very vulgar, but it's Rob Zombie. So you to expect that. Laundry Day in the comments said Annie in the original was nobody's friend. She shaded Lori every chance she got. But that's what friends do. Okay. I had this conversation too in my first Halloween review with Miguel Myers from my Horror Confessional podcast. We talked about this because he's a huge fan of Halloween as well. And we talked about the relationships between friends. You know, when you're friends with somebody long periods of time, sometimes you can be a dick to your friends, but in a friendly way. It's not necessarily being mean. To us is mean because we're the viewers outside watching. But friendship wise, that's probably their friendship. And Lori don't care. She's not upset by it because she know that's Annie. Like she know that Annie always fuck with her and mess with her. So I sometimes, like when I'm with my friends, I fuck with them and say shady things. I mean, even on Screen Kings, I might be shady every now and then, but it's not, I'm not being malicious or I'm not being shady for like to, you know, I'm not being shady and being serious at the same time. I'm being shady, but fun because I genuinely like y'all. I'm comfortable with y'all and I feel like I can do that. I won't do that with anybody else that I don't know. So I feel like with Andy and Lori's and Linda's relationship, they can do that with each other because they're close friends and they're comfortable with each other.
It's like love taps.
Yeah.
So that's how I view with you guys and my phrase. It's just like, oh hey y'all, how y'all doing? Oh look, you put on a new shirt today. Like it's just like little things that could come across as shady, but it's just like having fun. Look who got a haircut.
Right.
I guess the shady was who finally got a haircut. That would be the
Yeah.
shady. But that's what friends do. That's
Exactly.
what friends do.
And I think that's why I love Annie so much because yes, she was kind of being mean to Lori, but again, I was kind of that person in my friend group too. Like I would play and like fuck with my friends, and they would do the same thing to me, and I wouldn't get upset. That's just how it is. Um, so I think it was fine, and I think that was missing too because Andy wasn't really like that with Lori in this version. You could feel they were a little bit more close, opposed to Andy being an ass to Lori. They were kind of just a little bit close. You could tell them two were closer, opposed to Linda being, part of everything. Where I feel like Linda was kind of the nice one, the original one. Um, but there was a deleted scene in the original one too that they cut out. But actually, they didn't cut out. It was an added scene for the TV version because they wanted the TV version to be longer. So they brought back the extras who play Annie, Linda, and Jamie Lee Curtis, and they filmed a scene where Lori's coming out. She has her little robe on, her hair like up, and it's with a towel because at this point they covering her hair up because she cut it and dyed it because she was filming the fog. So they didn't want to, and for continuity issues, they didn't want to, mess it up. So they put a towel over her head. And Linda's running in, she's knocking on Lori's door, and Lori lets her in. And Linda's like, shut the door, some guy's following me. So that's also added suspense right there because Michael Myers is not just following Lori, he's following Linda too. And you get this scene where Andy's calling Lori to borrow her blouse, and Linda's like, no, I want it first. So it's like an edit scene where you get to know these characters a little bit more, and they're just literally living their everyday lives. And it got fucked up because you got this killer after them, and they know that somebody's watching them, but they're kind of still don't care. They like, I got to dance tomorrow. I'm worried about my dates, whatever. It's a guy watching me, but whatever. I mean, it's probably some perv, whatever. Sure. I want to borrow that blouse for the dance tomorrow. Like, it's just, you said what?
I said, I'll be fine. Just him the blouse, he'll be gone or something.
Exactly. And then, they end up being killed at the end of the film. So, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I like character building in movies because it just adds to it more, and it just makes me like the movie a little bit more. So in Rob Zombie's, like, I just wish they kept those scenes that they cut out because it would add a little bit, to their relationship for me, and I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. But I did enjoy the dialogue, and I had a lot of fun with it.
Agreed. So recently, I hosted Screamathon, and we watched Halloween, the original, 2018, and Kills. Yeah, all night, like outside patio projector, all that fun stuff. And so I really got a new appreciation for Halloween from watching it all the way from the beginning to see this full story. And I will agree with you, the character development was needed. Now that I'm thinking about more of that in the new one, because I think that Annie Brackett, who was casted as Linda in Rob Zombies.
Her name is Christina Cleve, and I don't know her from anything. I remember she popped up on an episode of Law and Order SVU, and I was like, "Oh, that's Linda," and that was it.
Okay, well, so Linda, it would have been cool, to see some more things with them because in the original, you are right. Now that I'm replaying everything, their connection was cool, and they did feel like a friend group. I just didn't know, like, for me in character development, especially when they're in high school, I want to know who they were to that school.
Yeah.
Like, and some characters, some writers do it in a very blatant way, like this is the prom queen, this is the know-it-all, or this is whatever these people are going to be like. And I know she did last summer. It was very clear who those characters were in their school, and so I think that in the Rob Zombie one, he did a decent job with that, especially with giving us a full prologue.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know, but it's almost like they deserve like a 6-episode TV show, Halloween, so we can really care about these characters, and you can still kill them.
If we got like a TV version of like this version here, like Rob Zombies, and we got to see Danielle Harris in full Annie Brackett in high school form, she probably was like an asshole to everybody else, but we don't know that. She was the thing with Linda. Yeah, like I feel like Linda and Annie were bitches of the high school, and I feel like we would have got more of that within the fucking
the TV show.
Like a TV show, yeah.
And so
Yeah, it would have been so dope. Now you got me thinking.
I'm sorry.
But it's too late now. They're old as hell.
Cheerleader, sheriff's daughter in a small town. Of course, I do
Mhm.
what I want to do.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Bye.
Laundry Day in the comments talking about I have to admit I like 2018 more than 78. 70, I mean, obviously 2018 would never happen if 78 didn't exist. And I mean, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. Okay. Comments on that. But yeah, this movie here, when we get Michael finally going after Laurie Strode, because in this version, obviously, too, they're siblings, and he's going after because he just wants Boo back. Nothing, he necessarily don't want to kill her. He was just trying to get her back, but he wasn't very vocal, and she was lost when it got to like the third egg, and he was chasing her, and he had the picture, and he was like putting it in her face, and she was like, "What the fuck? Like, I don't know any of this. What just happened?" But my biggest problem too is like, why can't he talk? But then when we get into Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, one of the biggest problems I had with that movie was the very end, and I think it was the director's cut version, where Michael he takes his mask off when he's about to kill Dr. Loomis, and he yells "die," and then kills Dr. Loomis. So I said, "Oh, so Michael can talk." So this all would have been avoided if he would have just probably talked to Laurie in the first movie. But okay, sure.
Why are you holding this photo in my hand, bro? Like I don't understand. I don't understand. She had the most realist reaction. She was like, "What?
Right? What are you talking about?" And another thing about Scout too, like when she cries, and this is how I know, like snot's coming out her fucking nose, like it's very real, and I enjoy that. She made it super believable. But yes, this movie, obviously we get to the end, and then like she shoots him, and then whatever, it goes off. But I want to talk about kills before we go and stuff, because there was some gruesome kills, and there's a lot to talk about. What was some of your favorite kills in here? Usually I say, what is your favorite kill as far as one, but let's add multiple. What are some favorite kills you have?
You know my favorite kills now. In Rob Zombie's Machete, is that what he played that character? What is his name? He was like, oh, Mikey, why did you do this, Mikey?
Oh, Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo, that was my favorite kill. And it hurt my feeling. I was like, Mikey, he was good to you. That's what he was saying.
I was good to you, Mikey.
I was good to you, Mikey.
Yeah.
That was my favorite kill. And then what was the actress name? Oh my God. Why are you escaping me? Was she in Ma, or was that in the other one?
Oh yeah, Octavia Spencer, but she was in part 2. Yeah, she was in part 2. Yeah, so she wasn't in this one.
The boyfriend.
Oh yeah, with the bat.
Never kills, and that little bastard from Spy Kids.
Yeah,
who was talking shit to him about his mom. He let him have it with that stick.
Michael did more of his. Now that I think about it, he did more of his like brutal killing. I mean, as a kid, more when you think about it as an adult.
Yeah,
I mean, because the kid version of him, he was fucking him up. In this one, all right, so he kills Linda, he chokes her out
as usual.
As usual. I mean, it was just hands in this one, and the OG was a telephone cord. I
live for this costume, and she called Lori like,
oh yeah,
Linda, cut it out. I wish I had my voice. I'm sorry. Linda, cut it out.
Oh man, that was funny. But yeah, Linda gets choked out on this one, and then her boyfriend Bob gets killed the same way he did in the OG version. Just got a knife and got stuck to the wall, so he got nailed to the wall. Who else got killed? Oh yeah, Laurie's parents. That one scene, where okay. So the scene where the dad is just outside, and then like he's just looking around, then he turns around, and then you just see the slash. That was like a great jump scare. the way he just slashed him, and he's pretty much dead at that moment. And he brings the dad in, and he drops dead, and then the mom is just looking around like,
"Oh, who's this
what's
man
that?
in my home?"
Right? What's going on? And he I guess he was fucking her up, and then
Yeah.
he ends up like snapping her neck back, and then she dies. And
Oh,
those were reshoots too. They had to reshoot that scene because I forgot how she was supposed to die originally, but they didn't like it, so they reshot it and made it longer, and they snapped her neck. And there was another version when the dad died. You actually see Michael walking up to the dad, and the dad just like, "Yo, like, what's up? You want some candy? Like, you're too old to be trick or treating." And then, yeah, it was you literally just see him walking to him, and then that's when he does the slash. But I like that they cut that out because you don't expect it when you watch this movie, because he's literally, the camera's just close up and you just see the dad looking around, and as soon as he turn around, just slash. You don't even know where Michael's at. You just see him just get slashed the fuck up, and that's it.
yes. Miss
Um,
Cujo / D Wallace.
she's a scream queen too.
She is, and she showed us she still got it. She
Mm-hmm.
in her little moment.
Yes.
Those are great kills. Is that it? Is that it?
There's more. I think obviously the police that got killed when he got out. The dude in the bathroom.
We let them have it to get out of that prison.
He sure did. Who else? I think I don't know. He that's it. And Annie, like, he fucked her up, but he didn't kill her. So let's talk about the Annie scene. All right, so in this trailer, I was so hyped because, for one, again, Danielle Harris fan here. So when I seen the trailer and that moment when you see her like open the door and try to run out, and then she gets dragged back in,
Stella.
that trailer, I was like, you know what, I'm in. That's fucking amazing. She has like one of the best scenes, and then just to see it played out in the theater was just even more like chef's kiss. I love it so
much. That was my favorite part of that movie, probably one of them, but that was definitely in the top 2 favorite scenes of that movie. Annie Brackett, she was trying to get busy with her boyfriend.
Yeah,
the titties was out, and then she did good. She got out of there. She almost made it.
She almost made it, but he dragged her ass right back in, and then she kicked him. She kicked him, and then she tried to run for the knife. She should have just kept running.
Yeah,
slaps her down, then he like drags her, and then she's like, I guess, trying to scream as she's being dragged.
But he did stuff to her, like in the cutscenes, which I think it's always so brutal. That's more brutal when you can't see it sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
When Lori saw her, she was like bruised and cut up, and he left her for dead, which is unusual for Mikey.
Exactly. I don't know if he just was like, I don't know. Maybe he was using her as bait to get Lori in.
Oh,
that's how I looked at it. So like, Lori's sitting there, crying when she walked in there with little Lindsay Wallace, and she's trying to call the police, and you see Annie just crying on the floor, calling for Lori. Lori. And you know what? That's why I enjoy their relationships and relationship in real life, is because in this movie, Scout calls her baby, like, "Oh, baby, I love a baby," but she still calls her that, like, in their real friendship. So like when they go on the podcast, she's like, "Hey, baby." Yeah. So it's so cute to see that. But that scene was great. It was intense. You see Annie's boyfriend, hung up on the wall with the jack-o'-lantern on his head, and Michael. One thing I would say Rob Zombie got right too is that he know that Michael Myers plays with his food. I should say. He kills him and he sets them up, and he put them in prop. He makes them props, decorate dolls.
He's really good too.
Yeah, he was even amazed at his work. Like when he pushed them, he was doing a little head. So like, I did a fucking good job. Yeah, that's good.
That's crazy. That is absolutely alone.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mikey.
Yeah, it's actually the scene above your head right there.
Right there. Why I just noticed that he's in the picture in my background for the first time. I didn't even know he was there.
I just noticed that in general. And many times I've seen this picture of her, I never noticed that he was in the background.
It just scared the shit out of me. I was like, what? What?
Lori!
Bobby! Bobby! Oh God, not Annie Brackett.
Yes.
But I want to on the trilogy again, like not the trilogy, but the trio, the original one, this one. But what about in 2018? Because they redid the same thing too with that trio, with the blonde babysitter.
Yeah.
What's her name?
I think it's Vicky.
Vicky. Oh, Vicky. She was what, a Linda or
she was more of an Annie.
She was Annie.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like I feel like Vicky's scene in 2018 was just so underwhelming because they were setting up her scene like an Annie Brackett scene. She was watching the kid. Michael was outside the house, and you didn't know where he was at that moment, but he was out there because you heard her breathing. And I like Vicky a lot, and I want to see more of her.
Yeah.
But I didn't care for the boyfriend. I think Dave. I was just like, all right, whatever, sure. I guess he's the Linda.
And he could go. He could die. Cool, great.
Yeah, he's fine.
But no, I agree. Vicky, she deserved better than that. Like she could have had a chase scene because she was the only one that really had a scene. She could have. They could have gave her more to do.
Exactly. They even had her screen off. I said her screen. They even had her death off screen. Like you see Michael stabbing her, but you don't see like the blade penetrate or nothing. You just hear her and you just see the motion, and then that's it. He slams the door, and the next thing you know, she's underneath the sheet like a ghost.
That's not
enough. But I think the problem was too with 2018 was that. And I say this even with some of the Scream films, I think they're so focused on the legacy characters that they take away from the new people.
Yeah.
We don't get a chance to see what the new people can do because we're worrying about what's going on with Lori. If Lori wasn't in this movie, I'm pretty sure Allison would have had like a better role. Vicky probably would have had a better role, and maybe even Dave. I feel like them three, and them being the focus, they probably would have had a better shot. And who knows, Allison probably would have been like the next Scream Queen, and Jamie Lee Curtis could actually pass the torch, because I feel like they alluded to Lori passing the torch to her at the end. But in Halloween Kills, we still didn't really see much of Allison. Like she had that little teeny fight scene with Michael at the end before he knocked her ass down the steps in Halloween Kills, but like that was it. Like it was just missing something. So I enjoy the legacy characters, and that's what gets people in the seats. But it takes away from the newer characters, and we can't see what they can actually do because they don't really have much to work with. And I feel like Vicky, that opportunity was taken away from her, along with Allison and Dave, because we were focusing on Jamie Lee Curtis' character.
I don't disagree with you at all. I completely agree with that. That's exactly what happened. Because they could have got flipped if Jamie Lee Curtis had a very smaller role, even if she stayed into hiding until the end, so that she got to her front doorstep. That would have been fine. At least we got to see Allison do things, because Allison's chasing was pretty good. When her friend, the other guy who got what's his name, Mr. something,
was it Oscar?
The
one that got
I enjoyed Oscar's his moment. That seems really scary to me.
It is. But that chase scene wasn't a chase scene if you think about it, Tamon, because he wasn't chasing her. Like that's what pissed me off the most, is because she sees Oscar impaled, right? And then you get the awesome soundtrack playing in the background. So you think, oh shit, he's about to chase her, she's about to get a chase scene, and she's running, screaming down the street. But Michael's not even chasing her. It was just a waste of like a scene for me. Like he could have at least been like chasing her ass, when kind of replicated the scene where Lori was running from Michael at the end of 78. You know what I mean? That would have been
it should have did that, because she was dressed that way for a reason. They switched the costume, so it was perfect. I think they got not crazy, but when they Dr. Zartan, her being kidnapped and been in the backseat with Michael, I think that if they would have kept it contained to her in the neighborhood being chased by Michael, and that would have been probably a better route to go.
Yeah.
But that's 2018, so sorry.
Yeah. It's cool. we like to jump with these movies.
You got to.
Yes, but Rob Zombie's Halloween. So that was one of your favorite kills. With Danny Trejo.
Yes,
And okay.
yes. And the boyfriend from the prologue.
Yes, I have to agree. I'll probably say for me is I forgot one. For me was definitely the boyfriend getting the head smashed in with the bat, and also the nurse when he was kid and she got jabbed in the neck, who was played by Sybil Dannon. She's an '80s horror queen. She was in The Howling 2 and Reform Schoolgirls and a whole bunch of stuff. But
Girls.
that's my movie. Okay. I know Mike is rolling his eyes right now, but whatever.
Roll 2.
Listen,
That's
the
all
most.
we have to say. That's all we have to say.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm sure he's going to pop up in these comments very soon. But yes, mine is definitely the baseball bat scene, and when the nurse got stabbed in the neck with the fork, and then it was that moment where it was like no audio, but you just hear the alarm going off, and everybody's running into the room, and then Michael has his mask on, he's looking down, he's doing the head tilt, and at that moment, I feel like that's when Michael just completely lost it. And that version too is two versions. The theatrical version, she looks at the picture, and it's obviously Michael and Boo. And she just looks at it and look at him and just like, oh, okay. But in the director's cut, she said, "Oh, cute baby, couldn't be related to you." And then gets her. So that's what set Michael off because she was being a bitch.
You got me fucked up.
You got me fucked up. Couldn't be related to me. Okay.
Do you
Stab
think
right
that Rob Zombie's version makes it clear if that Michael Myers is not supernatural versus the original?
Yeah.
And
They made him. Yeah, they made him definitely, again, they humanized him because I don't see, but then again, I don't know because he takes some shots that, and even I don't care how big he is, the shots that he's been taking, he should have went down, you know. So it gets confusing because if he's supposed to be a human, and just wearing a mask, and he just went insane when he got shot, yeah, he should have went down, but even in the end, when I think Laurie shoots him, I guess she didn't really shoot him in the head. I guess it grazed him because he ended up coming back on the second one. And throughout the second one, he was living as a homeless person. So I guess they humanized him. And then at the end of the second one, he got lit up by the police and he died. Also, the OG version, excuse my dogs, everybody. Also in the OG version, they reshot this. It wasn't supposed to be a scene where Laurie is going inside the house and going into the attic and he's trying to get her or whatever. It was none of that. What originally was supposed to happen was he takes Laurie out the car. Loomis is trying to reason with him. All the police shows up. He ends up letting Laurie go, trying to go after Loomis, and all the police just shoots him up, and then he dies. So he basically gets shot up, and then the movie goes off. That was a whack ending. So I'm happy that they actually did reshot it and gave us the one we got in the theatrical one. Yeah, because that one I was like, yeah, that's not good. But Rob Zombie got a fascination of just shooting people up and just leaving it as that. Laundry this, I will give Rob Zombie his flowers. He makes movies as if he was a fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The movie's more disturbing versus scary. If he directed a Chainsaw movie, it would be perfect. Exactly. I would have actually preferred that. Like, I'm happy we got this one, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre is definitely more his field. You know what I mean? Because it's already a dirty movie. It's already gritty. It's already like, I feel like that would fit him perfectly, especially if it's a movie set in the 70s. He loved his hillbillies and shit like that. So that would be perfect. That would be perfect for him.
I agree, Laundry Day. Rob Zombie would be the perfect purpose to re-tackle Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it needs help. And it needs tons of help. And he
lost cause, man.
I think we do a great job.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. All right. So before we go, what would you rate Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween, out of No, out of 5. You would give it a straight up 5. You heard it here first, everybody. Tamon Kane is giving.
Wait. That was really impulsive of me. I've been sipping tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, a 4 out of 5. How about that?
Okay,
And it
fair enough.
had great kills, great storytelling, great characters, a great lead. It felt like you had two different movies in one, which was really fun. And I think that it set itself up to have a great trilogy till it didn't.
Okay. I'm happy that you said 4. You know what? I'm gonna give it a 3. I don't
Right?
think it's horrible. I don't think it's really bad. For me, I guess what's holding up is the nostalgia from when I first seen this, just the excitement I had. And I still do have a good time watching this movie, honestly. Like when I recently watched it, I still have a good time watching Lori and Linda and Annie, and even just Big Mike just doing his thing, and the scenes with the little kids and them being a little bit more, having more to say in this one opposed to the OG version. Um, I enjoy. I can appreciate what Rob was trying to do with this one, and I liked it a lot. Even the first half, like sometimes I do skip the first half because I just want to get to the other part. I'm not gonna lie, but
Rude.
I mean, yeah, I get to the
It's
more
fair. It's
exciting
fair.
part.
It's fair. It's fair.
I get to the more exciting parts. um, but the little boy that played at the time, I think his name is Dave. I think it's Dave. He played Michael. I think he did a great job playing young Michael. He was creepy, and he was, he played that part to a T as far as playing unstable kid that don't know what's going on, especially being bullied, coming from a home that's broken, and kind of just being fed up. And when he lost it, I believed it. So I think he
He,
did a great job.
he did. He was sick of it.
Yeah.
He was sick of everybody, and that was it. Do you think? Oh, maybe I'll tell you this off. Probably he would have been a dope addition to Halloween Ends in a certain role because he looks.
Ooh. Okay. If you're talking about that character,
Yes, I
sure.
am.
If the character I
Yeah,
already know about, okay.
mhm.
Cool.
He would have been dope to play that character.
Okay. Okay. Allowed you to say who's your dream director for Halloween. I do not know. Because right now I've been like we all been spoiled with Halloween each year. It's right now, it's just like I want to see the movie rest after this one just for a little bit. And focus on other IPs. As much as I love Halloween and Michael Myers, um, I think we should get a little break. And then I have to marinate on that. I have to think about what director I want to see tackle this next.
Yeah, that's a big ass question.
Yeah, I just don't want Blumhouse to do it again. Like, I
I'm
mean, yeah, like I appreciate David Gordon Green for doing Halloween 2018 Kills and Even Ends. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm pretty sure like he still, he's a Halloween fan. That's one thing I will say about David Gordon Green is him doing this trilogy. You can tell that he's a fan because he got a lot of things right, things that we appreciated in pretty much all the sequels. If you think about it, he paid homage in some sort, and you can just tell that he's a fan and he enjoyed it. And there's no way you can make everybody happy when you're remaking or doing a requel or a sequel or whatever you doing to a well-known franchise and a very known, like a great IP. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a struggle. Like it's a lot of pressure. So that's why I enjoy these movies probably more than the average person, because I want to see you go up and try to tackle a Halloween movie. You know what I mean? There's only so much you can do, and you have to get it right, but you can't make everybody happy.
My,
And my thing was in 2018, I was unhappy with a lot of things just because being a direct sequel to the first movie, it was missing some things that I liked about Michael Myers. But then they corrected it in Halloween Kills. But then in Halloween Kills, they did some other things. So I'm hoping for a Halloween Ends is just perfect, and I don't have to complain about anything anymore.
impossible, bro. You already
I
know.
know. I already know. Yeah.
Laundry said Mike Flanagan. I don't know. He's more of like,
Mm,
he feels like romance and poetry with a backdrop of horror versus,
yeah.
versus hardcore. Because this is a slasher, and I've seen a lot of his stuff, but I haven't seen anything as brutal as what I think is required for Texas. I mean, for Halloween,
Yeah.
you probably can do something supernatural.
Hmm.
He maybe can do Poltergeist.
Yeah. I can see him doing
Yeah,
Poltergeist.
do Poltergeist for sure.
Yeah. Like at first I was gonna say like James Wan, but James Wan is more he's better with doing supernatural paranormal stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know. I have to really think about this. Right now, like my brain is not working as far as thinking about directors, but I do have to think about this. Um but Mike Flanagan, I don't know. Like you said, he's more of like you said, he's more of that style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But then again, I don't know. David Gordon Green was he is a he did all this work prior to this one was comedic stuff. He did comedy, and now he went into doing horror. So
yeah, well
you
that's
never know. You never know.
yeah. Who did Spawn?
Ooh, Spawn.
Who directed Spawn? Let's see.
I haven't
Mark.
seen Spawn forever.
Yeah. Oh, he's done a bunch of fun stuff too. So, but he looks like he would like Halloween. But no, I'm opposite from you in that way as far as like thinking the Charest. I think we should just keep going. Like, just keep giving us variations of Michael Myers. Embrace this fucked up timeline. Go in and correct each storyline and correct it and make it something beautiful and new and fresh and jump. Oh,
Guillermo del Toro.
okay.
Mm, Guillermo del Toro, I like his style. All right, so I will give Guillermo del Toro like I like his cinematography. I like the look of his films. But he's better with creatures. Like I think he does a great job with creatures and how they look in his type of lighting, and his storytelling is kind of interesting. His storytelling is very old school as well. It would be interesting to see him do a Halloween movie though.
What about Tarantino? Even though he's more
No,
of a writer,
no,
but he's more of a
no,
writer.
no, no,
Sorry,
no,
Tarantino, we can't have you here.
no.
Do Zack Snyder. He did from Dawn of the Dead.
Zack Snyder, or you know what? I could probably see Zack Snyder, even though people's tired of him, but
Oh
I can see.
God, yeah, he just fucked up when he went to X Men. I think. Wait, X Men or Superman or both?
I think he did both. He did. Wait, no, he didn't do. Wait, did he do? No, I don't think he did X Men. I think he did Superman. Yeah.
Good old Zack Snyder. I don't know. I can't even think about a director for that. I would have to know like to at least start with what house is going to take it.
All right. So Nightcrawler Theater, my friend Scotty said that Gasper knows. So I had to Google him because I don't know his name off the top of my head. But when I Google him, he did Enter the Void. He did Climax, and I like both of those films. Both of those films are trippy as fuck. Um, so again, all these directors have a specific style.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Gaspar Noé would be great for a Halloween movie just because his type of style. But then again, I don't know because it's hard because when you get producers involved, you can add what you want to it, but you also have to stay at a certain, a certain like you have to stay in a certain box, I should say. That's the problem with Rob Zombie with this movie. That's why in Halloween 2, they let him do whatever the fuck he want. He was just
And they
like,
should not have.
you know what? Actually, it was okay with Halloween 2. I
It was
actually like it better than this one just a little
get
bit.
Bobby.
I grew to like because all right. So I have a love hate relationship with Halloween 2. I used to when I first seen it in theaters, I loved it, and then when I got it on DVD, I hated it because I started to notice all the things that I truly like. It didn't feel like Michael Myers to me. But then when I actually sit there and watch the film, which I'm gonna talk about tomorrow with Gray and Ash from Kill the Dead, I appreciate that we see what happens with the trauma of the two characters that survive,
I
Laurie and
like that too.
Annie. It was great. The kills in there were brutal. It was insane. The look of the film was actually pretty dope. I like how gritty it is. It makes me uncomfortable to a degree. And and there's things I like about the movie. The only it's just some of the things I hate in it is just the way they portrayed Michael Myers and some of the choices they made with you know Dr. Loomis, making him be this like money hungry
Ego man.
person. Yeah. And then fucking Sherry Moon Zombie and the stupid white
That's
horse.
the
See,
only thing I hated.
they talked they didn't say anything about a damn white horse in this movie that we're talking about right now. And then all of a
No,
sudden, the white horse pops up. That was just an excuse to get Sherry Moon Zombie into Halloween 2. We needed a reason for her to come back. So let's bring up a white horse that Michael was fascinated with as a kid, even though they didn't talk about it in the first Halloween.
ridiculous.
So, yeah, it didn't make any fucking sense.
That's
So,
all they had to do was bring in horses from the beginning. And then it would have been like, I still would have hated it, but I still would have been like, okay, cool, whatever. The second Rob Zombie Halloween film was great because it paid homage to the second original film.
in the
Started
beginning,
off
yeah.
with Hospital, which is by far my favorite, not by far, but my favorite Halloween movie. One of them, rather. And I love that part. I was so excited to see that scene. I was like, oh shit, it's starting the same night like the original did.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us that. But it was a trick. She's just processing her trauma.
Yeah.
And it was great to see how her and Annie Brackett's relationship had evolved/devolved
Yeah.
because Annie was like, you act like this shit only happened to you, Lori.
Yeah.
It did
Yeah.
not.
Exactly.
That's a true statement.
Mhm.
Um, they don't have that
Yeah.
conversation enough when you bring in legacy characters from the past who
Yeah.
survived situations.
Exactly.
And her kill in that was just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And it
It
was
was
off screen.
Yeah, it was off screen, but I think they did it so well because all you need to do was just hear it, and that
It
was
was
it. And
terrifying.
then you see the aftermath, and when you see the aftermath, it's kind of like theater of the mind, where you kind of have to. All right, I didn't see what happened, so I have to think what happened in the scene because we didn't see it. So
Mhm.
it's more scary that I had to guess what happened to Annie. Like, what did he do to her
Yeah.
for her to end up like this? Because we didn't see it, and I think sometimes it's scarier to do that rather than us seeing it all the time.
Well, and then I think she was bait the last time in the first attack. And this one's like, okay, well,
Yeah, I'm getting you out of
let,
here this time.
let me kill you this time because you're not
Yeah.
gonna help me find my sister.
Mm-hmm.
I just came here to kill you, actually. And then when she
Yeah.
saw him, she's like, she knew it was on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an insane scene. Think about it, get me chills again.
I'm gonna watch it tonight, actually. So thank you for that.
You should. All right, so that's been Rob Zombie's Halloween. We talked about our favorite kills, some cool scenes, our favorite characters, and things like that. And it's a fun movie. It's a good movie. Some people might not be a good movie, but I think it's a good movie. It's okay. It's fine. It's part of my rotation compared to some other movies in this series. I watch this more than some others. I will say that.
Yeah.
Wait, I had to. So Nightcrawler Theater, maybe he'd be better. Halloween 3 type. All right, so Gasper Noe would kill it in Halloween 3, like a Season of Witch style, because I think that would be more his thing because you can play with colors and trickery. You can do a whole bunch of craziness with that movie. So yeah, that would be more his thing. I would actually like to see him do a Season of Witch movie. That would be dope. But yeah, that would be it. Tamon, thank you so much for joining me tonight. You're amazing. And before we go, would you like to plug yourself one more time for all the people that joined in, a little late?
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for coming in and hanging out with me and Bobby. We do this often. My name is Tamon Kane. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, even Twitch for the little Dead by Daylight fun at Tamon Kane. Please check out my Instagram, Societe Saga. It's my book page. And you can find out more about that at www.jointhefraternite.com. A lot of fun and cool stuff. I think you would love it. And you can see me and Bobby on Scream Kings premiering tomorrow at 8 p.m. Hey. And our first episode, for those who missed it, is the multiverse of Michael, where we sit down and chop it up about what's happening in all these different timelines. And Bobby educates us on the history of Michael Myers. So it's going to be really fun.
Yeah. I talked a little too much now that I think about it. And I don't even think I talk about the rest of the movies. I just focused more on the first one. But it's okay. It's fine.
Okay. It's a blueprint. You can't have one without the other.
True. Well, everything that Tamon said, I got in the description. So underneath this video, you could just click on the link, and all the information is there. I'm including Screen Kings. I put the link for that too. So definitely tomorrow at 8 o'clock, definitely join for that. It's going to be a good time, and I cannot
Oh
wait.
yeah,
It's finally here.
it is. Oh my God.
Right. We worked all summer. We worked all summer on this for you guys. So
Yes,
yes. It's gonna be
Bobby. Bobby. Hold on, baby, I'm coming. Hold on. No, bitch, he's here.
Yo, you're so irking.
Lori. We love you, Danielle Harris.
Yes.
Oh, before we dip, Brad Dourif.
Oh yes, Brad Dourif.
We didn't even talk about Bracket. Great casting.
Yes.
Boom. That's all I got.
Yeah. Great casting as Sheriff Brackett.
Yes.
He shows his true skills in Halloween 2 though. But he was great. He was great in this movie here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Powerhouse is in this movie. You got Danielle Harris, D. Wallace, Brad Dourif, Ken Foray. He was in the other Rob Zombie movies. Danny Trejo. Again, Sybil Dan. Like, it's just so many people in here that Rob Zombie just called for. Yeah, so he did a great job with the casting.
And if you told me that cast and it was whatever movie is going to be, I'm going to go see it.
Oh yeah,
any movie. I don't care what the fuck it is. As long as it's horror, I'm going to see it.
Yes. All right, so that would be it. Because time is up. Thanks again. Obviously, you can find me here because y'all on the channel. You can find me on Screen Kings. That's premiering tomorrow, like we said. Link in the bottom. And also the people under the scares. We're back for season 2, so we're also doing that with my buddy Michael Anthony, who's in the comments cutting it up. And yeah, I'm there. And also the Ultra Tapes, where it's a revolving panel of people talking about different Ultra shorts that's on YouTube. And I'm on there every once in a while, so check that out also on the podcast platform Worlds or whatever. And that would be it. And tomorrow I'll be back with Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 with Kill the Dead, Gray, and Ash. So that should be a lot of fun. And also, again, Screen Kings is premiering. And then, yeah, so we're busy this October, y'all. Y'all are spoiled. Y'all are spoiled.
Oh, y'all got us working. I'm out here Horace. I went to the event this weekend. Y'all got us out here working these streets,
right?
These forest streets.
We out here.
We out here.
All right, y'all. Have a good night. Bye.
Yeah.